To a little bit of where we are right now. When we last left you on our last episode, we thought that things were absolutely going and that we would be getting this before tonight. Of course, we were optimistic about the timing, and a lot was happening. A lot of things did occur that we talked about on Thursday night's call. Tonight, we've got some more information about what has been going on and sort of the overall opinion of where we are now. So I'll try to let you know what the situation is on that. When we first look at the timing of where we are in the month, we have talked before about when we think the public is to start. This is the general public, the so-called John Q. public, not referring to us that are paying attention, listening to calls, going on blog sites and trying to keep up with this on a day-by-day basis like most of us have. But the John Q. public, I believe, is still looking at a start date of around the 28th of this month, okay, which is the last day of the month, which is not too far away from now, since today is the 21st. That'd be what, a week from today? Today is Tuesday. So we're talking about the public starting in a week, next Tuesday. That's what I'm being told. So far as I know, that's the plan. That is still the plan. All right, so what about rate changes? What about the idea of the Forex? I truly believe the Forex will not show a rate change for these currencies until the 28th or the 1st of March, which is one day later, if you think about it, okay? 28th being the last day of the month, and then March 1st would be Wednesday. So I'm being told that the Forex would not show the rate changes that we know are there until that time, okay? Sort of the public would be able to see it, okay? So keep that in mind. Now, what about rates? We have heard that the rate on the ZIM as a non-NDA rate is going up a few cents at a time. It's a very strong rate, well over $1 for, but under $2. There you go. For a no NDA rate. And I know that's going to appeal to a lot of people that don't feel they're able to handle the NDA concept for one reason or another. Maybe it's too much social media. Maybe it's just too much family out there and so on. Hard to say what it is exactly as far as that goes. But let me just say that, hold on one sec. Okay, so here's where we are as far as anything else regarding rates. We know that we have heard that there is a rate on the back screen on the dinar. That's a good rate. It's higher than the old rate was when Iraq's currency was depressed, let's call it. And so now we hear that that rate is available on the back screens of the banks. However, we don't know for sure what it's going to be as an international rate for Iraq. We just don't really know. We think we know what it is, but at this point, without it published, it would be a guess or an estimate at best to figure that out. So, realistically, though, we do understand that Iraq has moved along very, very nicely, and the fact that they have.
This guy makes
hold
up
on one
stuff.
sec. Bob, talk for a couple minutes till I do something with this kitty cat, okay?
And getting into a rhythm and making it rhythmic too, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that.
That's good.
Okay, good job.
All right, Bruce.
Thank you, Stu. Yeah, now we got that handled. Let's see, where was I? Talking in terms of what's going on over there, it always seems to come back one way or another to Iraq. We understand that they have the new smart cards are called QI, or key cards, is how it's pronounced, I believe. Their cards have been charged with their new rate. We understand that. And we do believe that what is ironic about what's going on over there is we are looking forward to good news uh, for Iraq in terms of the liberation of Mosul. We're looking forward to that, and we may have that in the form of an announcement here, as far as we can tell. Because we know that the banks in Iraq are open, and we know that even in Mosul, the banks are open since 10 o'clock in the morning yesterday, Iraq time. So things are moving right along, and I think that even though we're not really completely seeing that here on our news, I believe that we should see something very positive coming out of Iraq in the way of the liberation announcement. I sure hope so. So that's positive for us. We're also getting information that is looking good for us with our own currency. We have our own new, we call it rainbow currency because it's multicolored and it's new. It'll have sort of the U.S. Treasury on it instead of the Federal Reserve on it. The denominations, I think they're printing all the way up to $5,000. The ones that we're familiar with up to 100, and I think we may have a $5 and maybe even a $10,000 bill again. So that'll be interesting to have that. But this new currency, for it to come out, and we understand it could come out as early as Thursday at our banks, for that to happen, we kind of need an announcement about it, don't we? We sort of need someone, perhaps Stephen Mnuchin, the Secretary of the Treasury, for example, would probably be the one to announce that, since his signature is the one that's on the bill, or the bills. So I would think that would be coming post haste. And I also understand that currency, the new currency, is already at the redemption centers. And you know, it realistically needs to be at the redemption centers, the so-called off-site exchange locations, as we've called them, for us to go from an active to an engaged status. And so we understand that that's the situation that we're in, that currency is there, ready for us. All we need is to go to engaged status and have that toll-free number that we can call and set our appointments, and then we're off and running. So in terms of our currency, that's something that the banks have been training on since some of the banks started last Thursday, doing training not only on the new USN, which is our new US dollar, the USN, but also the other currencies that they will be exchanging, because there will be a lot of people in the public that'll be coming in to exchange their currencies in a first basket. And my understanding is that training was to end last night at the banks on President's Day at about 10 o'clock last night. We understand that they were given another 24 hours to continue that education process through till tonight at 10 o'clock tonight. So that extra day was given so that they could get the additional training in some of the branches and in some of the smaller banks possibly that needed more time to catch up and understand what was going on. All right, so that's happening. Let's see what else in terms of the banks. We know that we have certain windows that we've used from time to time. And we know that where we thought we would be here by now, we've been given a couple of additional windows in the next couple of days to have this come through by. And we were actually given an additional window of opportunity because of this 24-hour extension for the banks for the training. You say, well, haven't the banks had all this time to prepare? Well, yeah, in a way they have, but you know how it is. When everything kind of comes to the end and push comes to shove, there's always last-minute information that needs to get out. And plus, you got to realize this is talking about trading on our currency as well, on our new U.S. dollar, the USN. It's as much about that for the banks, being familiar with that currency, as it is about foreign currencies as well. Okay, that we're coming into exchange. So in a way, it shouldn't surprise us, I guess. Now, the redemption centers are trained, retrained, and overtrained. I mean, they are set up. They're all set. They've been trained for months. And I don't think there's a whole lot new other than maybe a little review from their aspect. They're on an active right now, and they're set to go to engage status. When they go to engage, that means we have our 800 number, and we're actually available to go right into the exchange locations, which I believe they're still interested in taking ZIM holders in first. It would surprise me if that was not the case. So when we call to set our appointments, be sure to let them know if you have ZIM. Let them know that first, so that they can give you the right follow-up phone number to call, so that you're directed to a ZIM-specific redemption center in your zip code area. Okay, so that'll be important to remember. Even if you bought it at the end, or you've got more dong and more dinar, whatever you've got, that's okay. That doesn't matter, because you guys know the size of the notes, the denominations of the ZIM are so large that it's even one or two notes can dwarf everything that you have in the other currencies. Okay, so that's kind of cool. That's kind of interesting for us. I think we're really going to be very pleasantly surprised about everything. The very good high rates, the programs that the banks have for us in terms of structured payouts, and in terms of what we can do to negotiate higher rates with the redemption centers. Now, the high rates when the public comes will not be negotiable, as far as we've been told, at the banks. Okay, at the banks, they're basically looking at screen rates. Okay, and that's fine. The screen rates will be great, even for the regular public that comes in that was gifted currency, that has no clue about an 800 number or redemption centers. The redemption centers, from my understanding, will only be open until the public starts. So, there might be a few straggler redemption centers that are open, that are attached to banks. There are some of those. I think we've talked about those in the past, that we've kind of talked in terms of being annexed or next to, or connected to, really is what I'm trying to say, to the actual bank location, bank branches. And some of those may be open because they may decide to continue to exchange some of the ZIM holders in those redemption centers. But by and large, most of the redemption centers will be closed, from what we understand, unless they are open for follow-up meetings for us with our wealth management people and personnel. Okay, that would be one reason that they might stay open beyond a week. Okay, but I know that most of us could get in and out in a matter of a few days. We probably don't even need a week, unless we're on a cruise, or unless we're getting back from a cruise or whatever, and we need to sort of set our appointment and get in there. Unless you're having surgery or traveling or something like that, most of us will set our appointment and be in a matter of a couple of days. I'm pretty sure we'll get in right away. And I think that's going to happen as long as the appointment times are available for us. Remember, the initial appointments should only be about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes long, because it's not a time to go into everything that you plan to do for the rest of your life. It's more just an opportunity to exchange, to set up an account or two, to get a bank wire or a cashier's check, and some of the new currency, some of the new, I believe you'll have an opportunity to still take out up to $10,000, which would be, my understanding is, in bundles of 2,500. I'm thinking in terms of $100 bills in $2,500. So it'd be what? Four $2,500 bundles would get you 10,000 if you want to take that much in cash. And then you'll have the opportunity to have your temporary debit/credit card until your permanent card comes in. And then, of course, if you need to do a bank wire or a cashier's check, you should have the opportunity to do that in that period of time. But it is not the time to set up 15 trusts and 20 LLCs or 2 foundations or any of that stuff. All of that stuff happens in your follow-up appointments, okay? Initially, though, we should have a skeleton trust set up by the bank before we walk out. That's just a simple, bare-bones trust that will get us some protection until we leave the bank. And then what we would do once we consult with our own attorney, our own CPA, at a later appointment, we would supplant that trust with the new version of whatever it wants to be, whatever that trust is designed to be, customized, however you want to do it. That's what you would substitute. And then if you need some sub-trusts as well, which some of us will use sub-trusts underneath that main umbrella trust, we'll put that in place also. And all that can come at a late, not at your first appointment, but down the road a week, 10 days or so. Give yourself time to breathe, set your appointments up for follow-up, get some of that stuff put together, and then think about a little vacation, if you're so inclined, before you get started on the rest of your life. I know that would be something we would all enjoy doing very much, I'm sure, especially as we're still in a little bit of winter, not too much when it's 70 degrees here where I was, and had 6 days in a row of walking without a shirt on for my walk. I enjoyed that. That was kind of nice for what, mid to late February. Not too bad. So let's see if there's anything else that's important. We know that the paymasters for the groups and for the prepays, all of those have been paid and are liquid. We know one of the largest humanitarian funding sources has received their funds and got their second large tranche. I believe they will have access to it. But you know what's funny about all that? Even those that can see the money still in their accounts but don't have access, I believe they're going to have access at the same time as everyone else gets to start, meaning us, the groups, and us with the internet group, let's call it, getting started with our exchanges at the same time. So in a very real sense, even though some people have been paid and can see the money in their account but can't touch it yet, don't have access to it yet, it's just reading pending or administrative hold on their account, we really have basically a shotgun start. Those guys will have access at the time that we're paid. So I think we are very, very close to that happening. I've been told that we could be there anytime between now and, let's just say before the weekend. It's hard to, guys know I hurt myself if I try to call a time and all we do is jinx ourselves. I don't mean that really. You guys know that. But, we don't want to call something and then have it not come through. So
Never done that.
I say that the timing of this is very, very close in terms of what I'm hearing. You think about what we need. We need some good news to come out of Iraq. Maybe that'll be tomorrow. I don't know. And we need some good news about our own currency. We kind of need to know a little bit about it. It needs to be on TV. It needs to be announced. It needs to be talked about before Thursday if that's when it's supposed to be available at the bank on Thursday. So kind of means the timing is there to go ahead and announce it, talk about it. And will they also talk at the same time about returning to the gold standard? Or I would think so. I would think that would be part of the announcement that Secretary of the Treasury Mnuchin might make. I would surely hope so. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about where we're going as a team on the big call, where we're going in terms of our humanitarian projects, not only working with the veterans, but working to rebuild America. And we've talked about doing that by adopting a city, adopting a town, adopting a community based on how much you want to help. And I'm looking for 5,000 listeners from the big call to help 100 cities or towns in 50 states. And I'm cutting Alaska and Hawaii a little bit of slack because I don't know that we're going to need that many. There might be that many opportunities in those two states, but certainly we can do it, throughout the rest of the 48 contiguous states. The other thing to keep in mind, though, and I know some people have already talked about Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico can use some help too, guys. So don't forget Puerto Rico as a U.S. protectorate. It's not a state yet, and it may never be, but it is some place that we all consider part of the U.S., and it's a beautiful island, and it can use some help in some parts. So, just for all our Puerto Ricanos that are listening to the call, like Blue Wolf and others, hang in there because help is coming to your island as well. And I know Blue Wolf has big plans for the island of Puerto Rico. So shout out to him. As far as additional intel, guys, it's almost a moot point by now. We really have everything that we need to move forward. We've got everything set as far as we know. Even on a geopolitical stage, everything we believe is set to move forward. If there are some things out in the world that are not quite right, it's going to be a go-around. It's going to be a go-around until they're made right. They're not going to hold this up any longer for any little thing in this country or that country to be perfect. There's nothing ever that's going to be perfect in this world until Jesus comes back. So let's just keep that in mind. So right now, as far as I'm concerned, if I think of something else in the way of intel, I will certainly bring it up toward the end of the call. But right now, I'll probably have a shout out to our banking partners and other partners that we're going to be working with our humanitarian projects. So everything is looking very strong right now. We have two different time windows now that we're in the midst of now in one of them. And I think we're looking really, really good. And I'm excited. I'm as excited as I've ever been and looking forward to doing a recording for the celebration call. That's what I'm looking forward to. And hopefully that will come before Thursday night's regular time. All right? All right. I'll